The time was 1 p.m. It was a Monday, the first working day of the week. Ada had left her office early with the intention of visiting her lawyers at Ikoyi, Lagos. Her driver was trying so hard to get to Ikoyi in time and also take Ada home. But this was proving difficult because, as usual, the Lagos traffic was keeping them from reaching their destination. Please, James, try harder. I need to see the lawyer for something very important. If we waste too much time on traffic, he would have closed from work by the time we get there, Ada said to her driver. I am trying, ma. The traffic is so bad, but I will try to get you there in time, James replied. He soon saw an opening in the congested road and decided to exploit it. That was how he was able to arrive at the lawyer's office by 1:30 p.m. Thank you very much, James, Ada said as she stepped down from her car. She walked into Barrister Ike's office. He was already waiting for him. Are you sure about what you were about to do? This could bring division between you and your husband. If he finds out that you did this to him, he's going to be really mad. You have to think about this carefully. If I am a husband and my wife does what we're about to do, I will chase her away if I find out. The journey you are embarking on is not a good one. I will advise you retrace your steps now that we have not gone too far, the lawyer said to Ada. I have made up my mind and there is no going back. I have given you the mandate to execute. You are my lawyer and you have to do as I say. Yes, I will have to look for another lawyer to help me do the job, Ada tells the lawyer without mincing words. Alright, but how do you know your husband is about selling the house? Did he tell you about it? And have you asked him how much it will cost? Barrister Ike asked. Oh, you are asking too many questions, Barrister. I have said I want to buy the house since my husband has put it up for sale. He is my husband and he told me he wants to sell the house. Our first son is really sick and we want to take him abroad for medical treatment. That is why he's selling the house, so as to save our son's life. However, I want to be the one to buy the house. I don't want another person to buy it from us because I love that house very much, Ada said with all seriousness. But madam, since you have the money your husband is looking for, why not just give it to him to use and take your son abroad for medical treatment? Why do you want to secretly buy your husband's house? I don't think it is proper, the lawyer said. I have said it. If you don't want to do it, I will simply look for another lawyer. What is it, safe? And please, I want this deal concluded this week. I want you to approach my husband and make it known to him that you have found a buyer for the house. Start the process for the paperwork. Use the name of my secret real estate company to buy the house for me. My husband is not aware that I have a real estate company. Use the company as the buyer. I will make funds available as soon as the deal is completed as instructed, Ada said. She stood and left the office. Her son Uche was diagnosed of a serious kidney disease and his situation was deteriorating. Her husband Eze had taken the decision to fly his son abroad for medical treatment. The problem is that he didn't have enough money. He was going to sell his house to raise money. Adalna Pat, very rich, but her husband hardly knows about it. She has a real estate company and also a transportation company with fleets of buses that run interstate. She has decided that no other person will buy the house her husband was about to sell. I have the money. Why will I be alive and another person will buy my husband's house? Ada asked as she got into her car to go home after seeing the lawyer. She concluded that the best thing was for her to buy the house from her husband and keep it for herself. Later that week, The lawyer contacted Izzy, Ada's husband, and they finalized the deal about the house. Ada paid 75 million naira for the two-story building. The money was paid using the name of a secret real estate company which her husband knows nothing about. You and your family have just 2 weeks to move out of the house. My client wants to use the house for something else, as she doesn't want anyone to occupy the house as from the next 2 weeks. Please prepare to move your things. She lives abroad and she's coming into Nigeria to inspect the building in 2 weeks, Barrister Ike said to Eze as soon as payment for the house was made. I can assure you, you don't have any problem at all about that. We'll be moving out as soon as we find an apartment to rent, Eze said to the lawyer. At night, when they had gone to bed, Ada told her husband that she had found a house for them to rent. Really? Where is the house? Her husband asked. It is located in Lekki. I have personally visited the house and I found it good for us. It is 1-story building with 4 bedrooms and it goes for 10 million naira per year. It is cheap and we can manage that until things get better for us again, Ada said. All right. We will go and pay for it tomorrow, her husband replied as they both fell asleep. The house Ada was talking about also belongs to her. She bought it 2 months ago using her real estate company. The next day, Ada and her husband drove to the house. Ada had informed her lawyer that her husband was coming to pay for the house, so he made himself available. Wow, my friend. I see you guys own a lot of houses in the city of Lagos, Eze said when he saw that it was the same lawyer who had worked out the deal when he sold his own house. Yes, sir. We are a big real estate firm, the lawyer replied. Ada's husband transferred the 10 million naira for the house rent into an account provided by the lawyer. It was his wife that got the alert. The next day, Eze and his family moved into the building, and that was how Ada became the landlady to her own family. I hope my husband doesn't find that. Well, even if he does, I simply don't care, Ada said. The plan to fly UCHE abroad for treatment has started in earnest. He was to be flown to India, where doctors in Lagos had referred him to. Eze, his father, had applied for visas for himself and UCHE, and they were told to wait for 2 weeks for it to be ready. But they had one more interview to attend to finalize the visa process. But Ada had her own plans to further ruin things for her husband. The truth is that she doesn't even want UCHE to be treated abroad at all. She wants him to die. She decided to take steps to scuttle the journey. One afternoon, she picked up her phone and called a gang leader, introduced to her by one of her friends in the city of Lagos. I have a job for you, Ada said over the phone. She had left her workplace and gone to her real estate company, where she also had an office. Where can I meet you? I am fully ready to do the job. Just mention your location and I will meet you there, Akin, the gang leader, said in reply. Come over to Ikoyi. Give me a call once you get here. I will direct you on where exactly to meet me. I will be in my car waiting, Ada said. She picked up her handbag and stepped out of the office. Her driver was already waiting in the car. She opened the car and stepped in, took the back seats and told the driver to move. Once outside the gate, she told the driver to park by the roadside so she could wait for someone. It was not long before the gang leader called her again. I am here in Ikoyi. Where can I find you? He said in a hoarse voice. Just look by your left, I can see you. Just turn. You will see a black jeep parked by the roadside, Ada said. Not long after, Akin, the gang leader, knocked at the tinted windscreen of the car and Ada opened the door for him to come in. I want you to kidnap someone and I want the job to be perfectly done. No mistakes, please. I want it done tomorrow morning, Ada said to Akin as soon as he took a seat in the car. Don't worry. Just give me the details I need. Give me the person's address, a picture of the person, 3 million naira, and the job will be done with immediate effect, Akin said with a mischievous smile. I have 2 million naira here. When the job is done, I will give you the remaining 1 million. The person I want to kidnap is a family member and his name is Uche. He will be going for a visa interview tomorrow. He's presently at the hospital receiving treatment. However, you will have to stand outside the hospital so you can pick him as soon as my husband drives him out from the facility. Here's the name of the hospital. My son will be leaving the place tomorrow at exactly 8 a.m. Please, no mistakes. Kidnap only him and not my husband. Once the job is done, give me a phone call. Then I will give you further directives, Ada said. She was chewing gum and blowing bubbles as she talked. All right, consider it done, the gang leader said as he leaves the car with a smile after picking the money dropped for him on the car seat. Ada was driven home by a driver. When she got home, she saw her husband Eze gathering his documents and Uche's own in preparation for the visa interview the next day. Have you seen all the documents? She asked her husband while serving him food that night. Yes, my dear. I just pray we will get the visa after the interview. The boy has spent a long time in the hospital and he has suffered a lot. I can't wait to get him the help he needs in India. His health condition makes me worried, Eze replied. Ada has served him okra soup and pounded yam. He loved it as he swallowed lumps after lumps. He took one chunk of meat and put it in Ada's mouth. She chewed it happily. I pray he gets the visa as well. The boy has suffered so much and I pity him every day. I don't want him to die. He's such a lovely boy, Ada said as she sat beside her husband with her hands on his shoulder to soothe his nerves. Eze had been through a lot since Uche fell sick and he looked stressed. As they went to bed that night, Ada sent a message to Akin to make sure there are no mistakes in the operation. I don't want this operation to fail. It is very important to me and a lot of money will be made from it. Make sure not to mess it up for me. Remember the hospital I told you about, and remember to be at the gate at the exact time. And also remember, Oga, don't kidnap my husband. Only my son should be kidnapped. No mistakes, please, Ada said in the WhatsApp message she quickly sent to Akin before falling asleep. The next day, things happened exactly as Ada had planned them. The kidnappers, who were heavily armed, picked Uche when he was being driven out of the hospital by his father. As soon as he was kidnapped, Ada forwarded her husband's phone number to the kidnappers with a clear instruction for them to demand for a ransom of 60 million naira. Tell him to send 60 million naira cash and his son will be released, or else he will never see his son again. Tell him he must not involve the police, Ada said in a message he sent to Akin. Eze was frustrated when the kidnappers called him. He rushed home and sat tearfully in one of the sofas in the living room. One of his hands was used to wedge his chin mournfully. He was a shadow of himself. When he thought he had sold his house to raise money to treat his son, kidnappers are now asking for the money. His spirit was crushed. How can I give them the same money I'm supposed to use and take my child abroad for medical treatment? This is so painful. And the boy is sick. He can't spend many days in the kidnappers' den. He's going to die if I leave him there, Eze said to his wife that evening. Oh my God! You do this one, no. My enemies have finally succeeded. This is so sad. But my darling husband, if you ask me, I will say, let's just give them this money. I don't want my son to die, oh. He's so precious to me, and you know it. Please send them the 60 million naira. It is better to have Uche alive here with us than for him to die in the kidnappers' den. Send them the money. We will eventually find another way to raise funds for his treatment, Ada said to her husband with tears in her eyes. Of course, crocodile tears. Oh, my wife, please stop crying. Uche will not die in the kidnappers' den. But I need to think about this carefully tonight. I will take a decision tomorrow morning, Izzy said. That night, they didn't sleep at all. I am going to give them the money. I don't have any option because I don't want anything to happen to our son. I will go to the bank, cash the money and send it to them, Izzy said that early morning. He was sitting on the edge of the bed while his wife sat beside him with her head bowed mournfully. Izzy felt so bitter and powerless. I am so sad right now. 60 million naira is a huge amount of money, but there is nothing we can do. They have warned us not to involve the police. Please be careful when you are going to give them the money. I don't want to lose you, Ada said tearfully. But in her heart, she was actually laughing at her husband. She has vowed to bring him to his knees and gradually make him a pauper. I will be careful, my love. Let me start going. I will keep you posted. Don't worry, everything will be fine, Izzy said. He went to the wardrobe and took out a shirt and a trouser, dressed up and left the house. He drove to the bank and cashed the money, loaded it in a large bag and headed to the address the kidnappers told him. Once he got to the location, he brought out his phone and called the kidnappers. I am here with the money. Please, I need you to release my son now, Izzy said. But the gang leader was quick to tell him he was not in any position to tell them what to do. You can't command us. We are in charge here. We can see you. We know where you are standing. Just drop the bag of money and gradually step back. Don't do anything funny, because if you try to be smart, we will finish you, Ake threatened. Izzy quickly dropped the bag of money and did as he was told. When are you going to release the boy? He's sick and he can't spend another night with you. I need to take him to the hospital for treatment. Please, can you release him so that I can go with him? I have brought the money. There's no need keeping the boy again. Or do you want him to die? Izzy asked the kidnappers with an emotional voice, but they paid him no attention. You can't dictate to us. Besides, we have to check the money you brought to be sure it is not fake and to make sure everything is complete as we agreed. Then we can release your son and tell you where to pick him up. Just drop the money and go back home, the kidnapper said. He hung up before Izzy got the chance to say anything else. These people want my son to die, oh, Izzy said when he had dropped the money and got back to where he parked his car. He opened the car door and stepped in. He was sweating like a Christmas goat because of the pressure and emotional stress he was experiencing. Izzy turned the air conditioner in the car so as to receive fresh air. If this boy dies, I won't be able to forgive myself. I have to do everything in my powers to rescue the boy and keep him alive. He had refused to go back home as instructed by the kidnappers. He vowed in his heart to stay put in his car until his son was released to him. But not long after, his phone rang and it was the kidnappers. Come back to the spot where you dropped the money and carry your son, the gang leader told him. His heart was lifted. He jumped out of the car and ran to the place. He saw his son, Uche, standing and waiting for him. Oh, my son, I am sorry this happened to you. From now on, I won't let this kind of thing happen to you again, Eze said to his son as he led him into the car and drove him straight to the hospital. I have lost the money, but at least I have my son back. He navigated the hospital streets and drove into the premises. Uche was admitted again for medical checkup. Luckily, he was in a very good condition, at least not worse than he was before the kidnap incident. Eze did not go home, but instead spent the night at the hospital with his son. His wife Ada later came to join them, but left immediately after daybreak. The following day, Eze started planning on how to raise money to get treatment for his son. I want to sell the shares I have in my company. You know I own 85% shares in the company. But in view of what just happened, I will have to sell them, Eze tells his wife, who was too glad to hear what her husband was saying. Eze is actually a hoteler who owns 5 big hotels. I am so proud of you, my husband. You are doing your best for our son. How I wish I have money. I would have given it to you to use instead of you selling off your assets. This makes me so sad, but God knows best, Ada lamented. Inwardly, she has already started planning on how to buy the shares her husband was about to sell. When she finished talking with her husband, she picked her phone and sent a message to the manager of her real estate firm. There is a company I want us to buy. The company is selling 85% shares. We are going to buy it and expand our operations into hotels and hospitalities. Please prepare a bid for it. I will send you the details, Ada tells the manager in the message. I will buy everything you own. Your company will become mine. I will teach you a lesson so that in your next life, you will not joke with a woman like me, Ada said in her heart when she finished sending the message. She went to bed and slept peacefully, not a bit worried about Uche, like her husband who finds it hard to sleep. The next day, Akin called her. She met with him and collected the 60 million naira which her husband paid as ransom to rescue Uche. Out of happiness, she gave Akin 10 million naira. My next deal is to make sure I buy the company my husband is about to sell. I must not fail at all. I will make him poor. He will learn a bitter lesson from me, Ada said as she dragged the bag of money into her car. She drove off to her office. She poured the money on her table and started arranging it with happiness. The deal is done. We have bought the shares in your husband's company, which now belongs to you. You are now the owner of all the hotels your husband built. Congratulations, ma, the manager in Ada's real estate company said to her 1 week after her husband announcing his intention to sell his controlling shares. Ada was overwhelmed with joy when she heard the news. Yip! This is a good news. My dream is gradually coming to pass. I will make my husband poor and wretched. I will teach him a lesson, Ada said in her heart. Immediately she dropped the phone. She drove herself to the restaurant to have a good drink and food to celebrate her accomplishment. Eze, on his part, realized 150 million naira selling the shares in his companies. He was not aware his wife was the one who bought the shares. At the same time, he was happy that he now has the money to take his son Uche to the hospital abroad. I am so happy to be able to get my son the treatment he needs, Eze said. He has been able to secure a visa for his son and himself and they are set to travel to India. All is now set for them to travel to India the next day. So he went to the hospital to pick Uche so that they can get prepared. He got home in the evening and placed the travel documents in his private room. When he finished eating his evening meals, he went into his room, packed his bags. He put the visa and all the travel documents in his briefcase and zipped it. In his heart, all was set to move. The following morning, Ada was the one who helped to drive them to the airport before going to work. Immediately she dropped them off, she turned back and started going to her office. When she got to her office, she got a call from her husband. Please, did you see our travel documents? The visas, the flight tickets and our passports. I can't find them in my bag. I am sure I kept them in my bag yesterday night. They have suddenly got missing. Did you see the documents? Eze asked. The sound of his voice shows he was in distress because they can't possibly travel without visas and their flight tickets. I didn't see them. I don't even know the color of the documents. You remember you didn't show me when you returned from the embassy. Didn't you put them in your bag? Where did you keep them yesterday night? Ada asked. In her heart, she was laughing at her husband because she knew she was the one who stole the documents. She had stolen them the previous night as she was talking to her husband. The documents were on her table. I am very sure I kept the 2 passports in my briefcase. I put them together with the flight tickets which I bought last week. This is strange. Totally strange. I don't know how this happened. We have been barred from traveling and I am sure we can still make the journey. After all I've been through, all to get the visas. Look at what is happening. I don't know what is happening to me. It's as if my enemies want my son to die, Eze said tearfully. Calm down, my love. Please, don't trouble yourself too much. One thing is certain, God is on our side and we shall overcome all these challenges. Our son will not die. We will defeat all the enemies working to destroy us. Please stay calm. I am coming to the airport right away to pick you people. We will look for the passports together when we get home, Ada said. She picked her car keys and started driving to the Lagos airport, which was not too far from her place of work. On her way, she bought 2 plates of jollof rice and fried chicken for her husband and son. When you shower them with love and affection, they won't know you are the enemy in the house. There will be no reason to suspect me. You deal with them under their very nose, but they can never know you are the one behind all their problems, Ada said in her heart as she drove into the airport. She called her husband and he came out from the airport lounge with his son and joined her in the car. When they got home, they searched the entire house looking for the travel documents, but they saw nothing. It had disappeared. This is strange. I have never seen this kind of thing before. It happened like magic, Ada said. I will apply for another visa. Nothing will stop me from getting treatment for my son abroad, Eze said as he hugged Ada that evening. Later at night, when Ada was cooking in the kitchen, she brought out the documents and placed them on the gas cooker and burned all of them to ashes. The visas, the flight tickets, and the passport all burned to ashes in her kitchen. When I am done with you, you will never play with a woman like me in your next life. You will run away when you see a woman like me. You will take to your heels when you see a woman called Ada. Ada said as she swept the ashes out of the kitchen and dumped them in the trash can. When she was done, she picked up her phone and called Akin, the gang leader. I have a job for you this night. I want you to come to our house with your gang. Don't harm anyone, but make sure you steal my husband's phone, his ATM card. You have to come as armed robbers. I will intentionally leave the gate and doors open for you people. There is a huge amount of money in my husband's account, and I want us to steal it using his phone and ATM card. Once you steal these two things, I will give you his PIN and other banking details. You should come around 12 a.m. Ada said. Alright, consider it done, Akin said. He always liked deals from Ada because it fetches him so much money. Ada went to bed knowing that she had invited armed robbers into her husband's home. Eze and Uche went to bed not knowing that Ada had invited trouble to the house. NEPA had taken the light and everywhere was dark. The time is now 2:47 a.m. and Ada was awake. She had slept around 9 p.m. and as she was sleeping, she kind of set her brain to expect the armed robbers. But several hours later, they had not arrived. What is happening? What on earth is keeping Aki and his gang? I was thinking they would have come by now. It is almost 3 a.m. and they have not come. Are they waiting until daybreak? What is going on? Ada asked herself. She stood up gently and stole herself out of the bed. She carried her phone with her. She went into the bathroom to ease herself. It was then that Aki and his gang stormed the house. Already the door of the house was not locked, so it was very easy for them to gain access. Immediately they started shouting. Ada came out from the bathroom and they ordered her to lead them into her husband's room. Eze has also heard the loud noise and he came out from the master bedroom and went to the store of the house. After kidnappers attacked him the other day and kidnapped his son, he bought an iron for himself. He had promised himself to protect his family and never to be in a powerless situation again. Immediately he got to the store, he brought it out and carefully loaded it with 6 bullets. He started coming out of the store carefully. He held it pointedly, ready for action. Meanwhile, the armed robbers were in Eze's private room searching. They didn't need to search much because Ada showed them where her husband kept his briefcase, which contained his ATM card and banking details. Although the armed robbers were shouting at Ada, she knew they were not going to harm her. They ordered her to the bedroom. She shares with her husband and she took them there. They took Eze's phone and promptly switched it off. They knew there was no cash in the house and the card was all they needed to wipe Eze's bank account. Akin and his gang came out from the bedroom, but they met face to face with Eze, who was armed. You are going nowhere this time around. I am fully prepared for you people. I am going to show you the difference between Ebe and Ebe. Stop right there. If you should move any inch further, I will delete you, Eze said with forceful voice. He quickly sized up the armed robbers and saw that they were just 3 in number. He looked at their hands to see the weapons they were holding, but he saw nothing. It turns out that Aki and his gang put back their weapons in their waist after they finished searching the bedroom. They just lost guard since it was only Ada they saw at home. Besides, they did not expect any resistance, and there was actually no resistance when they arrived. Eze's appearance with a weapon was just a surprise that hit them below the bed. Put your hands on your heads and kneel down. Don't try to joke with me because I will finish you with one shot. Drop everything in your possession. I can see the irons in your waist. Gently remove them and place them on the floor. Don't try anything funny because you will see the other side of me if you do. Trust me, I am being gentle with you, but I will change it for you if you dare me, Eze yelled. His voice sounded like that of a police officer who was about apprehending thieves. Akin was surprised by the audacity and boldness being displayed by Eze. He wondered why Ada did not inform him that her husband owned an iron. What he didn't know was that even Ada was not aware. Akin was busy trying to figure out how to handle the situation. He decided to try and remove his iron from his waist and then attempt shooting Eze. Akin put his hand in his waist and brought out the iron. But before he got the chance to point it at his opponent, Eze saw his moves and shot him at his right hand, and the gun fell. When the gun fell from Akin's hand, it went off and the bullet fell on one of his gang members and he died instantly. Akin started shouting, but Eze kept ordering him and the remaining gang member to step away from their weapons. In the end, he successfully disarmed them, collected their irons and everything they had stolen from his house. Eze shot the legs of Akin and the other armed robber just to make sure they wouldn't stand up to fight him. He also used ropes to tie them up. I will personally take you people to the police station early in the morning. When next you are coming to my house, I will advise you to think twice about it because I am not fully prepared to defend my family, Eze said to the armed robbers. The time was now 5:40 a.m. Ada, who had been hiding, finally came out when everywhere calmed down. She was shocked by what she saw in the living room. The fact that her husband was able to disarm the robbers was very surprising to her. Her plans had failed. I must confess that you are a strong man. I never knew you have this kind of courage. I am so proud of you, Ada said, but inwardly she was sad and she knew there was fire on the mountain. She was scared that Akin would say the truth and expose her when he gets to the police station. I am already calling the police to come and arrest them, Eze said proudly. Ada was visibly shaken after hearing her husband. She didn't know what to do to stop the police from coming because they were already on their way to the house. All of them will go to jail, Eze said proudly. Yes, my husband, Ada replied reluctantly. Not long after, the police arrived in the compound and carried the three robbers. We will question them thoroughly and get every information we need. You will have to come to the police station and officially file a statement about what happened here. We must praise you for your bravery. Keep it up, a police officer told Eze before they drove out of the compound. Oh my God. I have to do something really quick to stop Akin from telling the police the truth. This must not happen. If he says the truth, my husband will find out I'm the one behind his problems. I have to stop him, Ada said. At exactly 12 noon, she went to the restaurant to buy delicious fried rice and chicken, which she wants to give to Akin when she gets to the police station. Fortunately for her, the police did not see her when they came to her house to pick the armed robbers earlier in the day. She was able to disguise and enter the police station undetected. She wore a face cap and eyeglass, making sure to conceal her identity. She did not go with her car. She took a bus that dropped her off close to the police station and she walked in. I want to see Akin, the man arrested for armed robbery, Ada said immediately she entered the station. The police officer at the counter tried to look at her face, but she kept looking away as if she was inspecting the decorations and frames in the station. Who are you? And why do you want to see him? Are you sure you are not one of the armed robbers? The police officer asked, but Ada dismissed his question with a wave of the hand. What type of question is that? I said I would like to see Akin and you are asking me if I'm one of the robbers. Even if Akin was arrested for armed robbery, he still has right and entitled to a lawyer for his defense, Ada said furiously. She didn't want to be intimidated by the police officer because if she fails to show confidence, her bubble will blow and she will be caught. Are you his lawyer? I just asked you to identify yourself and your connection to Akin, and you are shouting. Stop shouting and tell me who you are, the police officer said. He refused to let Ada into the station until she identified herself. My name is Cynthia, and I am Akin's girlfriend. I have brought food for him, Ada said, placing the pack of food on the counter. She told lies about her name. How did you know we arrested your boyfriend? I still insist you are one of the armed robbers. You were just lucky to have escaped before Mr. Eze could arrest you the way he arrested the other ones, the policeman said. He was standing up to look at Ada's face properly, but she was fast and wise. She dipped her hand into her handbag and brought out 50,000 naira and then gently folded it into the policeman's hand. The man came forward and ushered Ada into the police station without asking any other question. Wait here, madam. Let me go and bring Akin from detention. I will be back soon, the police officer said. His character changed instantly towards Ada. He was now attending to her with the speed of light because the morning had softened his heart greatly. Within a few minutes, the policeman had gone to the cell and re-emerged with Akin and the other armed robber. Thank you very much, Ada said. She brought out the food and gave it to Akin. However, the police officer insisted that Ada must taste the food before Akin would start eating. The truth is that Ada had actually poisoned the food. After buying from the restaurant, she stayed in her car and packaged it with rat poison. She did not want Akin to come out of the station alive. She wanted to eliminate the two of them so that they would not tell the police she planned the robbery with them. Madam, you have to test the food first before the suspects will eat it. We want to be sure the food is not poisonous, the policeman said. What are you saying? How can I do that to my own boyfriend? I told you he is my boyfriend. They can start eating. The food is safe for consumption. I personally bought it at the restaurant on my way to this place. Please go ahead and eat, Ada said. However, the policeman was adamant. He insisted that Ada must taste the food. It is the standard practice here, madam. Once you bring food for someone in detention, you must taste the food first. There are no two ways about it. The suspects cannot eat the food unless you taste it. We don't want anything to happen to them until they are charged to court where they would have their deal with the law. So please taste the food, the policeman said. I really don't understand why you think I will come here to kill my boyfriend. I don't know why I want to kill my own man. Allow them to eat the food, Ada said. The argument was raging and Ada was scared, not knowing what to do. She didn't want to eat the food because of what she put in it. She didn't know she would be asked to also eat the food. It was her first time of visiting someone in detention. She kept on pleading with the policeman to allow Akin eat the food, but the man refused. Not even the money Ada gave to him could make him soft pedal on this demand. If you are sure you didn't put anything, just take one spoon and eat. One spoon is enough. It's not as if I'm asking you to eat everything in the food flask. It is just one spoon to confirm that the food is safe for consumption. If anything happens to the suspect, I will not only be dismissed from service, I will be arrested as well. Please eat one spoon from the food flask, the policeman said. Ada decided to take the risk and eat one spoon from the poisoned food flask. She chewed the jollof rice and swallowed it. Her heart was beating as she knew she could possibly die. But there was no way she could leave the police station without tasting the food. She would be arrested if she had refused outrightly. Immediately after Ada tasted the food, Akin and the other armed robbers started eating. Ada started looking for a way to leave the station before the substance begins to work, because she will be arrested for killing them. She had to take her leave immediately. "Let me buy water for them. I forgot to bring water," she said. The policeman permitted her. She went outside, but instead of going to buy water, she crossed to the other side of the road, entered a taxi, and disappeared from the station. After she left the police station, Aki and his fellow gang member finished up the food and started waiting for her to bring water for them. While they were waiting for water, the effect of the substance kicked up. "I am feeling somehow. I have never felt this way before after eating. It is like I've eaten something that doesn't agree with my belly," Akin said to the police officer in charge. Akin's fellow gang member was also feeling the same way. In fact, the two of them had collapsed on the floor, and the policeman started running helter-skelter in search of what to do. He informed other policemen at the station, and the DPO ordered that the armed robbers be taken to the hospital for treatment. 5 policemen were assigned to take them to the hospital. They were loaded into the police van and rushed to the hospital with immediate effect. Already, they were weak and their spirits were gradually leaving their bodies. Soon, they arrived at the hospital. The armed robbers were rushed to the emergency units. The doctor was called to attend to them, but when he came, he said it was too late. "They are dead. The substance had damaged vital organs and there is nothing else we can do to help them. Please take them to the morgue," the doctor said after checking the 2 men who laid on 2 hospital beds. He left the emergency unit. Incidentally, it was at the same hospital where Ada came to treat herself. The doctor at the hospital was her friend. In fact, the doctor was on Ada's payroll. She pays him salary monthly so that he will cover her up in situations like this. When the policemen entered the hospital, Ada was in the doctor's office and she had told the doctor to declare the armed robbers dead, and that was exactly what he did. Ada did not want the armed robbers to leave the hospital alive. Meanwhile, the policemen were not satisfied. They suspected foul play after the doctor said Aki and his partner were dead on arrival. "Are you sure you have checked properly? They might still be alive. They were just talking now. Please, can you check again?" one of the police officers said to the nurse who was on duty. "Sir, if the doctor says they are dead, he must have checked very well before making the statement. The doctor could not have confirmed them dead if they are not. Please shift and give us a little space so we can prepare them for the morgue," the nurse said. But the policemen rejected the idea. Somehow, one of the policemen strongly believed the armed robbers were still alive, so he rejected the idea of taking them to the morgue. "Don't touch them. We will take them to another hospital," he said angrily. He called his colleagues and they carried Aki and his gang member to another hospital. Ada was still at the hospital when the policeman left. In her mind, the problem had been taken care of. She was not aware that the policemen took the armed robbers to another hospital. The doctor treated Ada with a strong anti-poison. Her case was mild because she took only 1 spoon from the poisoned food. She was discharged that same day and she went home to rest. When the policemen arrived at the second hospital, a doctor quickly revived Aki and his partner. "I said it. I knew they were still alive," the policeman who had been suspicious said. "They are lucky you came here quickly. They can still make it," the doctor said as he started treating the 2 men. Not long after, they opened their eyes. "You guys are the luckiest people on earth. You were given rat substance. It was almost over for you too," the doctor said when Akin regained consciousness. "Thank you very much, doctor," Akin said. A few days later, they were discharged from the hospital. "Since that woman tried to kill me, I have no option but to expose all the evils she has been doing against her family. I am going to tell the police everything. I'm going to tell them all the deals I have done for her. I thought she came to the police station to help me, not knowing she was there to kill me. I am going to teach her a lesson. I am ready to sacrifice my freedom to make sure she spends the rest of her life in jail, Akin said to his partner when they were back in police detention. In her mind, she would be thinking we are now dead without knowing what is coming her way. Imagine how the doctor ordered for us to be taken to the mortuary even when we are still breathing. I am suspecting that Ada is working in collaboration with the evil doctor. She must have paid him to get rid of us. Thank God for that police officer who was there to reject the idea. Now, it is my turn to show Ada the difference between Ebe and Ebe, as her husband said. She was the one who invited us to attack her house, but wants us to suffer the consequences alone. She even wants us dead. Such a wicked woman. Later that evening, Akin requested to see the station DPO, and his request was granted because he said he wanted to make a big confession that would lead to the arrest of a dangerous criminal. I want to confess, Akin said as soon as he was led into the DPO's office. The woman who tried to poison me and my colleague is dangerous and rich. In fact, she is the wife of the man whose house we went to attack. She invited us to do it and told us what to steal. I will give you all the information you need to nail her. He went on to reveal every secret to the police chief, beginning from the first job he did for Ada, including the fact that she was behind the kidnapping of Uche, her son. Are you sure about this? The DPO asked. I am so sure, sir, Akin replied. The DPO rallied his men and they started driving to Ada's house to arrest her. Ada had gone out to the supermarket to buy bread when the police officers arrived in the compound. They had narrowly missed her. The only person who was at home was Eze, her husband. He was resting after taking Uche to the hospital. The doctor had instructed that Uche must remain in the hospital for close supervision. Eze was in the living room eating granuts he had bought on his way back from the hospital. He was surprised when he saw the policemen in the compound. The DPO entered the building with his men and informed Eze they were there to arrest his wife, Ada. Why? What did she do? Eze asked with surprise on his face. He or his wife has never been arrested for any crime in the past. It was therefore shocking to him that the police were looking for his wife. Your wife is responsible for the armed robbery incident that happened in this house, sir. She was also the one who hired kidnappers to kidnap Uche, your son. You are joking, right? My wife is a gentlewoman. She's not capable of hurting anyone, let alone me, her husband, or our son, Uche. I don't believe what you just said. It is not true. My wife could not have invited armed robbers into our own home. This can simply not happen, Eze said. He continued to eat his granuts absent-mindedly. We understand this could be difficult for you to believe, but it is true. Your wife is responsible for the two incidents we just mentioned. The 60 million naira which was collected from you as ransom for Uche also went to her pockets. She wanted the money. That was why she connived with the criminals to kidnap your son. You may not believe it, but it's true. Your wife is an accomplice in crime and we have come to arrest her. Please show us where she is, except you want us to search the whole house, the DPO said. His gentleman was turning to anger. He was surprised that Eze didn't believe what he was saying, but was instead defending his wife. Even if I want to believe you, why would my wife invite armed robbers into her home? Why would she do that, knowing fully well that any of us could be harmed? What evidence do you have to prove that she did such a terrible thing against me? I will not believe you unless you present a concrete evidence against her, Eze said. The DPO asked one of his men to bring in Akin with his fellow gang member. They were kept in the van outside and guided by policemen. In a few minutes, the policeman entered the room with the thieves. Eze quickly recognized them. The DPO produced Akin's phone and showed Eze the conversation the thieves had with Ada, his wife, before Uche was kidnapped, and also the messages from her the night before the robbery incident. Akin also attested to all that the DPO said and confessed everything to Eze. Eze was left speechless after checking the messages and seeing that they were truly from his wife. He almost collapsed out of emotional distress, but he was still able to hold himself firmly. The policemen stormed the apartment, but Ada was nowhere to be found. They left, but with a promise to keep tracking Ada until she was arrested. Meanwhile, Ada had finished buying apples from the supermarket and was walking home. She did not go with her car because the supermarket was just a stone's throw from the house. On her way back, she noticed an unusual activity in the house when she got to the gate. The gateman was opening the gate for the policemen who were already leaving. Ada ran away from the gate and hid herself inside the small restaurant just opposite the house. She only came out when the policemen had left. I am not going into that house. I think my husband may have discovered the truth and he might be working with the police to get me arrested. That is not going to happen, Ada said. She moved farther away from the streets and went to one of her secret houses in the secret of Lagos. As a real estate tycoon, Ada had many houses, some of which were not occupied by anyone. The house is well furnished and she often goes there to chill when she has problems and she doesn't want to stay at home. Everything she needs, including domestic staff, are available in the secret house. She went there and slept peacefully as if she was not worried about the fact that the police came to look for her. She knew her husband would be calling her, so she switched off her phone. The next morning, she used the secret phone number to call the lawyer in charge of her real estate company. I want you to go to the house where my husband lives. I want you to give him a quick notice. Tell him he must vacate the house in 24 hours because the owner wants to make urgent use of it, Ada said. Are you sure about this, ma? We are talking about your husband. Are you sure you are not making a mistake? He will be stranded. Besides, 24 hours is too short for him to move out of the house. We also need to refund him his money since his rent is yet to expire. Do you think you should reconsider this move? The lawyer asked. If you don't want to work for me, let me know so I can look for another lawyer. I am sending you money right now to pay him back. I want him out of the building, period. Throw everything out of the house, including my own property, Ada said. The lawyer had no option but to carry out the instructions. When the lawyer informed Eze he had to leave the apartment, he was vehement. Where do you want me to get a house in 24 hours? I am going nowhere, Eze said. You are moving in 24 hours. The house belongs to us, and we have the right to eject you anytime we want. It is our house, not yours. By the time we return here tomorrow, I don't want to see you and your family, the lawyer said as he leaves the house. Despite putting up a strong fight, Eze was frustrated when the lawyer informed him he had to leave the house. He picked his car keys and drove out of the compound. He just wanted to drive around the city and forget his troubles. However, due to what he was going through emotionally, he had an accident and he was rushed to the hospital. Ada was in her secret house enjoying wine in bed while her husband was in the hospital suffering. Hey African Tales by Kamma Tribe, how are you all doing? Thank you and thank you one more time for staying around with me. Please like the story, share to your loved ones, subscribe if you have not. You can also support me by buying me coffees using the link on my bio or the link on the description of this video. You can as well buy me super things. Till I bring the part 2 of the story your way, it is a goodbye from here and God bless you.